Welcome. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Chris Russick. I'm a mission strategist for the land and logistics team here at ServiceNow. Been here 7 years. I'm joined by Mike Cordo.
Thanks, Chris. Hey, everyone. I'm Mike Cordo, OT Solutions Leader here, supporting public sector at ServiceNow. I've been here over 6 years, but I'm actually a boomerang. I spent 3 years in between in OT cybersecurity, came back to ServiceNow a little over a year ago. ServiceNow and OT, very near and dear to my heart, and I'm assuming that most of you, one of those two things is near and dear. So hopefully by the end of this presentation, we have two things in common.
That's right. And our goal today is to support the use cases beyond IT. So when we talk about OT, what does that really mean to us? And the second goal I have is to get you out of here in 25 minutes, because sometimes in the OT space, you've got some questions for us that we don't want to be made public. So Luke is going to join us in the back of the room. Here's Luke up front, and we'll answer any questions that you have. So we're going to try and get through this as quickly as possible and still keep you informed. So with that, why don't we jump right on into it?
Let's do it.
And I'm going to sit down.
Yeah,
sounds good. So when Mike and I got together and we started talking about OT and coming to the Gov Forum and wanting to support these use cases, we thought, geez, it's near and dear to our hearts, but really when you think about operational technology, I thought when I first started in IT back in the late 1990s, I walked into our server room and there's a halon tank on the wall. And I thought, geez, what is that for? I've never seen one of these things. And it was covered in dust. And I said real quickly to the ops manager, hey, what's that for and how is it used? He says, oh, we don't need that. We've never used it. It's literally caked in dust. And I thought, wow, if it's caked in dust now, who knows if it's going to be used when we actually need it. And I said, well, who's maintaining it now? He said, oh, it was last maintained by this guy named Tom. Well, Tom retired 7 years prior. So that really made me wonder, if we had this halon in a time of need, could we rely on it? And the reality of the situation is that many of our OT devices we rely on, we don't know if they're properly maintained. We hope that they are, and we don't have a modernization plan. So I'm thinking beyond finding IT and how does it relate to what goes on in our federal government on a daily basis. You had a really good story we're sharing in the back. You want to share the story you shared with me?
Sure, yeah. So several years ago, I was living in New Jersey, taking the train into Penn Station, going to watch a Rangers-Bruins hockey game, and we're about a couple miles outside of Penn Station, and all of a sudden, the train just stops. And being in OT cybersecurity at the time, I'm immediately thinking, this is it. This is a hack. Something bad's happening. This is terrifying. But I'm glass half full. The lights are going to turn back on in no time. That didn't happen for 5 or 6 hours, actually. And what ended up happening is the control and command system stopped working. So your SCADA systems, the safety and control system stopped working. So there was no communication. It's a hockey game, so it's obviously winter and it's cold out. And the reality is that the Port Authority that was managing the train station, their critical infrastructure that millions of people, all like us, use every single day, they just had no visibility or control or management of these OT assets. And it was terrifying. So, thankfully, I'm here with you today talking. But it was just, if they didn't have that, if they had visibility into those assets and the communication of those assets, they would have been able to figure that out, and I would have been able to go see the team that I was going to cheer for lose that game. I'm not going to tell you which one I was cheering for, but.
Well, that's probably a good segue because, a lot of times these devices, they go bump in the night. We don't know it until something really big happens. And at ServiceNow, we want to change that. We want to make that for the better. Why don't you talk to us about Mr. McDermott here, what he's planning on doing with us?
Yeah. So I shared this slide just to ultimately give context of what OT means at ServiceNow. What we've been doing, I'll keep it short for you. What we've been doing in IT for over 20 years, we're doing the exact same thing for OT. And we've been doing that actually for nearly 6 years now. And Bill had this quote actually right after our FY25 earnings call a little over a month ago. And he called out a couple of investments. You may or may not have heard them in other sessions today. But we're really investing a lot in OT and our OT workflows here at ServiceNow, just like we've done in IT. So this is really nothing new to us. And it's a very exciting time for ServiceNow, because ultimately what we're trying to do here is, think about every single asset type in your entire organization that supports all of your missions. We want to make sure that you can now manage those assets much more effectively, all in a single pane of glass. We want to make your job easier.
That's right. That's important. And, I've been with the Navy the last 7, I'm sorry if that was loud. I've been with the Navy the last 7 years before moving to the civilian side of the world. So, enabling mission success is very important to me. It's wonderful, really, that Bill and our P5, our senior leadership of the organization, have been investing in operational technology like this, and some new things that are going to be coming out that you'll see throughout the course of the year. What does it mean to you when we want to help enable mission success?
Yeah, it's a great segue here, Chris. Ultimately, when you all go to work in the morning, you want to make sure that everything around you, all the assets, all the technology around you works. You want to have that reliability and confidence that the technology that you're using on a daily basis to support your mission, to support your roles and responsibilities works. And ultimately, what we're showing you here is that, in that story I shared earlier, it all starts with visibility. Because ultimately, if you don't have visibility into your critical infrastructure, you can't protect what you can't see. You can't manage what you can't see. If you have some unplanned downtime, how quickly, I want you to think about how quickly or how long it takes you to identify and diagnose that problem, that issue. Do you have the spare parts to help fix that? Do you have the right field service technicians readily available to go to that site, go to that location, and diagnose that problem? All of a sudden, we're looking at organizations where, and it's okay if you're leveraging clipboards or spreadsheets to do so, but you send out field service technicians to a specific location to go identify a problem, and then they realize they have to go order some more parts. Then they have to go figure out exactly how to fix it. That can take weeks, months, and that's a lot of time that is slowing you down. It's affecting your mission ultimately.
Absolutely.
So what we're showing you here is visibility is the foundation. So the same way that you've been having visibility into your IT assets, it's the same exact conversation and idea with OT, is that once you have the visibility, now you can protect what you can't see. If it relates to risk, if we have any security folks out there, you can now identify and prioritize that risk. You can also understand, if you have unplanned downtime, because that's going to happen. You can have all the technology in the world, but assets are going to fail. Now you can quickly identify and fix and understand how we can get these assets back up and running faster to help enable that success.
So that's interesting, because when I was a customer, I couldn't see these operational technology components. So I love what you say about not, when you can't see it, you can't protect it, right? And so a lot of these things, like going back to that Halon or going to your SCADA systems on the train, if you don't know they're there, or you just are taken for granted that they're just going to work when the time of need arises, you're already behind the 8 ball, right? So talk to me. We know that there's already products out there to go discover these. Talk to me about what, how do we tie these pieces together? How do you make the linkage from these other products into ServiceNow and the value that you get out of making that connection?
Yeah. So ultimately, we're talking about visibility and why that's important. So now let's think about it in a ServiceNow context. The same way, I keep going back to it, the same way that you all have been managing IT assets today, think about the operational technology, these different assets that you have in your organization that speak different languages and different protocols. Think about how you're managing them today, and now you can bring them into ServiceNow, and you can put them in their proper workflows, their proper fields, and you can also now understand the dependencies of these assets, both the north, south, east, and west. So what that means is if you're identifying and prioritizing that risk, or you have a break fix issue where it has to do with your change management policies with OT, you want to understand the downstream impacts of making a change to that risk. And the priority for that is ultimately human safety. So if you think about it, if you have a programmable logic controller that is controlling, a PLC is controlling a production line for jet engines, and all of a sudden that PLC goes down and you have OT engineers on the shop floor that are responsible for managing the production line here, and all of a sudden that stops. Now you have lives are at risk. Now you have human safety is at risk, and that is a huge issue. So availability is absolutely important, and understanding the communications and dependencies of these assets is just as important in ensuring that safety.
Absolutely. I'm going to go off script a little bit here. And as we're kind of talking about this, I think about flipping that story on end, and it costs money to make these changes and make these modernizations. So how do you think about this from a budgeting perspective? How do you think about this from an asset management perspective? You talked about inventory, things like that. Do you have anything you want to add as far as preparedness and being proactive in that process?
Yeah. So you think about operational technology that it's 10, 20 years behind IT. So we talk about, the way that you're managing those assets today and being able to understand what types of changes, if these assets can handle these types of changes, if it has to do with understanding capital behind them. I mean, if you have assets like the story that you mentioned, those assets had dust on them, cobwebs and everything. Right. I mean, if you're going to go update firmware on that, it's probably not going to work considering how legacy that asset is. So absolutely. Being able to be proactive and understanding, when you have schedule or preventative maintenance that needs to be done on these assets to make sure that it's helping, reducing that unplanned downtime so that asset, when you need it the most, right, it's able to work. And now you have the business case behind it, where now you have the idea, now you understand how to go ask for that capital, go to replace those assets because you have all of this data on this asset now that it's in a single place.
And you've got the human capital. So
exactly.
You can start planning ahead with that. So there's a lot of tools that we can bring the data in, and it provides so much data. Talk to me about how we bring this data together and what makes the modernization process actionable in ServiceNow.
Yeah. A lot of the things that Chris and I are talking about, we're not talking about replacing your existing technology stack. I mean, you might be hearing and thinking to yourself right now, well, I have a handful of third-party solutions right now that help me with discovering these assets. Maybe they have vulnerability scanners that are helping you identify risks associated with these assets. What we're doing is we love that. The more third-party solutions that you have, bring them to us, because the reality is that we rely on those technologies just as much as they rely on us. Right. So if you think about the nucleus of ServiceNow, the CMDB, that configuration management database, we can now integrate with all of these third-party solutions and let them do what they do best, which is discovering those assets, providing those vulnerability scans. They have rich asset data, both from their attributes of those assets, as well as the risks and vulnerabilities of those assets. And why that's great is now we can just put them in their proper home inside ServiceNow, and now you can leverage, and I'm just going to name a few, but there are dozens of them, Armis, Clarity, Fortinet, Dragos, Nozomi, Tenable. The list goes on of solutions that we love them, and they have rich asset data that we can now put them in their proper place, and now that's going to help make more informed decision making as it relates to your operational processes and helping ultimately support your mission.
It's a great segue. Bringing all that data in, we're not just a system of record, we're truly a system of action. Being able to do what ServiceNow does best and bring together all that information so you have actionable workflows. Talk me through this workflow.
Sure. Yeah, so this is an example of a risk workflow. So think about the cybersecurity folks that are out here. You have solutions in place that help discover OT assets. Now you can understand the communication of your IT and OT assets in a given environment. But when it's inside ServiceNow, now you can understand the dependencies of these assets. You want to be able to automate that risk. So if you identify a PLC, for example, that your third-party solution, it could be a handful of one of these, or it could be dozens of more that we integrate with, that if it's a 9.3 on your risk meter, you want to be able to understand how you can reduce that risk automatically. You don't want to be playing guess and check or having manual efforts to reduce this risk, because this is ultimately slowing down your production time. It's slowing down your SLAs. It's slowing down your time to value. It's affecting mission success. And you want to make sure that you can now identify, prioritize, and automate your risk mitigation efforts. But we're not saying that you need to stop working in those third-party solutions. Now you have the ability, this is really just a fancy way of showing you a bidirectional integration with those tools. So the right folks can leverage the right tools and the right workflows all in a single pane of glass.
So speaking of single pane of glass, I'm a man of value. The value that you're putting this data in, you're performing these workflows, and now because it's a system of action and intelligent action, one of the things that I think about here is how does like process mining come over the top of this? And you're going through modernization use cases. I think about how do I modernize more quickly based on the data, based on the workflows that exist. You've got the plumbing in place. We talked about, when we think about the operators, we think about the leadership. What can they glean from these kind of dashboards and reports?
Sure. So now that we have, and this goes back to that, Bill McDermott slide, is we're making these investments in more assets that are affecting organizations. So think about a world now, and it's here today, where you have IT, OT, IoT. If you're a hospital, your medical devices as well. All of the asset types in your entire enterprise, all inside ServiceNow. And now you can, you can more effectively report on these and send specific reports to also push compliance across your organization, which is huge. It's very important. All of this data to meet audits is all right in one place. So it just allows you to more effectively do your work, and now helps you with informed decision making, because you can now understand the operations within your organization. You can identify bottlenecks, understand what resources you need where to make sure that you're hitting the necessary KPIs that you need to hit to stay afloat and stay strong.
That's fantastic. That concludes what we've got. This has all been excellent info. I appreciate you. I appreciate your partnership in this.
Thank you all.
Thanks.